Welcome to another Leon Charney report, and we have, I believe for the first time, I've been on his show, but this is the first time he is on my show, the Honorable former Chief Rabbi of Israel, Rabbi Lau, and a very famous Rabbi Lau. You would think he's John Grisham. As you know, John Grisham is the best-selling author in the United States, especially on novels. Rabbi Lau is now the best-selling author in Israel, and it's not a novel, it's a real story. Welcome to the show, Rabbi. Your book has hit, and not only Orthodox people, but the entire Israeli public is fascinated by your book. The publisher of Yediot sent me your book, Dov Eichenwald, and it's in Hebrew, so I believe, will you get it translated? Will they translate it into English ultimately? Yes?
Al tishlach yadcha el anar.
That's the name of the book in Hebrew.
That's the name of the book.
So, it's the story of your life, how your brother and you escaped through Nazism and through Auschwitz, and you both came to Israel and you both became success stories. Many of you may remember Naftali Lavie was the consul general for Israel in New York and was a very close confidant of Moshe Dayan. And I met Naftali Levy during the Camp David period when he was very close to Dayan. And Rabbi Lau is the younger brother of Naftali Levy, and it's a tremendous story of survival. Tell me, the Israeli public is so interested in a rabbinical story. Now, the Orthodox population, or the religious population of Israel, is about what, 25-30%?
It's very difficult to answer this question because it depends from which point of view you test it. If you speak about, let's say, kosher kitchens at home, 76%.
Is that right?
To buy kosher meat and not to mix meat with milk at home, 76%. Going outside for a meal in a restaurant to check if there is a certificate of kashrut, especially abroad, much less than 76% insist home. If you speak about circumcising the child, Brit Milah, there is no law to make circumcision. 99.9% make the Brit Milah in the 8th day by a mohel. Going to bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, almost 100%. Sending to a religious school, 35%. To the Knesset, you speak about 25% according to the members of Knesset. But it's a little bit unfair, with your permission, because many Orthodox Jews vote for the Likud of Ariel Sharon or Benjamin Netanyahu, even for the Labor, Shimon Peres, or former since Ben Gurion, and Eshkol and Golda, Yemenite with beards. They voted for Mapai, the Labor of today. And they are the National Religious Party, and they are Agudat Israel, they are the Shas. They are 23 members of Knesset among 120. So between 10 to 15% only. No, 23, excuse me, from 120.
It's
20%.
Right.
20%.
Right.
But as I said before, for Likud, there are more religious voters than for the National Religious Party. So it's very difficult to answer what a question. To go to shul, when? How many times? Twice a day or twice a year? The one who is going to the shul 4 times a day a year for the memorial of his parents. He has something. A point, a Jewish point in his heart. 90% of the population, when the father or the mother passing away, they sit Shiva, they are mourning a week, and they say Kaddish. Eating matzah In the night of Passover, 95%. Fasting Yom Kippur, over 50%. Over. The other one will tell you he's doing it for diet.
How do you get these
But why
statistics?
for diet in the 10th of Tishrei? Why not a day before or a day later?
Where do you get these statistics? From the Chief Rabbinate office?
No. There are all kinds of polls that they make it. Hanukkah, first night of Hanukkah, everywhere, the 25th of Kislev. Usually nobody lives according to Kislev. For them it's December. It's after the Thanksgiving. And still, from Vladivostok in the east to San Francisco in the west, from Helsinki in the north to Melbourne in the south, at the same evening, 25th of Kislev, the Jewish Hebrew calendar, all the Jews lit the first candle of Hanukkah, speaking about the second temple, Matityahu, Hashmonai, Judah the Maccabee, the son of Matityahu, all the story of the miracle with the oil. So everyone has an inner point of tradition, of heritage, and it's very, very difficult.
Why do you think that happens?
To count how many religions.
Why do you think that happens?
Why?
Yeah.
There was a great philosopher, Ahad Ha'am, a Jewish philosopher, who said, what is me? What means I? The I, individual, and I or we, the nation. What does it mean? It's two numbers. If you bind them together, all my experiences and my knowledge from the day I was born till this moment, and all my expectations, hopes, wishes, dreams, plans from this moment and future. My past and my future, if you bind them together, that's me. The me of the individual and the me of the public. A nation with no roots cannot give fruit. A nation with no fundaments cannot exist. We exist 4,000 years since Abraham, our ancient father. Our existence is based on our heritage.
But were we a nation? Or in diaspora, were we a nation? Or today you are a nation when you have the state of Israel?
It's a very good and correct question. Leon, a Jew in the United States is also a Jew and belongs to the Jewish nation. And in the Soviet Union, under Stalin's regime, was also a Jew. And how? An holy one. Because Rav Saadia Gaon, one of the greatest philosophers in the Jewish heritage, said once, Ein umateinu uma ella betoroteha. Our nation is not considered as a nation, but in his Torah. Means that the Torah, our tradition, our concept of life, our commandments, 613 commandments, what to do and what not to do, our faith in the Almighty, monotheism, this creates us as a nation, besides our common history, our common destiny, our land, our state, our language, our literature. First of all, when we stood near Mount Sinai, when we went out from Egypt, Exodus, from slavery to freedom, and we said all what the Almighty said, we will obey, we will listen, we will teach, we will know, we will observe. At that particular moment, if you open the book of the Torah, Moses says, Hayom hazeh nihiyeta le'am. This day, not the day of going out from Egypt, not the day of entering through the Jordan to the land of Israel, but the day you are here in Mount Sinai, the two tafels, the 10 commandments, and the 613 Jewish commandments, this creates us, makes us for a nation. So that's why all the Jews all over the world, They may have citizenship of 160 different countries, but nationality is one, the Jewish.
I interviewed a man called Zakovich, who teaches Bible at Hebrew University, and he's a secularist.
Yair.
I believe that's his first name. Excellent historian. Told me, by the way, that two of the fellows for him are Orthodox Jews. You talk to him about the Bible, and to him the Bible is a story. Yet he considers himself a Jew. He's a secularist. I asked him if he keeps Yom Kippur, and in a way he does. He does certain things. When you are part of a nation, and you as a rabbi, can you accept those types of secular Jews as part of your nation, or must they all conform to the mitzvot of 613? And do they have to obey the Torah in its full context? I mean, it's a tough question, obviously, for the Chief Rabbi of Israel.
Look, he is a Jew, accepted as a Jew. He is my brother. If you, as a father, have some children, one of them is going in your way, also the other one is following your footsteps. The third one has his own concept of life, his thoughts, his ideologically. He is a communist. He is an atheist. But he's your son forever. And he will always be your son. Yair Zakovich, whom I don't know personally, I never met him. I know the name only. He's born Jewish. He is my brother. I can agree. I can disagree. Sometimes we agree that we disagree. This is also a kind of agreement. Let's assume that we cannot agree on everything. I may guess that his education wasn't a religious one. I guess so. I'm not sure. So I can't blame him. I would do everything in the way of Aharon HaKohen, brother of Moshe Rabbeinu Moses, who said in the book of Ethics, in the first chapter, we should be students of Aharon HaKohen, that's Hillel said, Ohevet Habriot, to love people, Umekarvan la Torah, to bring them closer to the Torah, not to bring the Torah close to them, because the Torah is permanent, not flexible, not temporarily. People have to come closer to the Torah, which is eternal.
Yeah, but
So my duty, my task as a rabbi, or chief rabbi, or a Jew, is to show Yair, look, what kept us as a nation is the halacha, the Orthodox interpretation for the Bible. Without Brit HaMilah, circumcision, without the weddings, Kedat Moshe Yisrael, according to the law of Moses and people of Israel, without Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah with blowing the shofar, and Pesach and Chanukah, we wouldn't be as a nation, we would assimilate like all the others. Leon, I must use your show, which is very popular and well reputed, to speak to everyone who is watching your show, and to ask them a very rhetoric question, if you have mentioned the Bible. Since we became a nation, I don't speak about earlier times. We came out from Egypt 3,400 years ago. At that time, we had nations that we have met, like Ammon, Moab, Plishtim, Aram, Edom, Amalek, Sorvet Sidon, Ashur, Babylon, Persia of that time, of Xerxes, Greece of Socrates, Rome of Julius, Carthago of Hannibal. Who of all these exist till this very last day? With his culture, with his faith, with his language? None of them exist. The only one of that period time from the East, Middle East, and Europe, which exist with the same culture and the same language and the same behavior, is the Jewish people. Why? Because they didn't assimilate, because they are loyal to their tradition, they keep their heritage, and that kept them not to assimilate and not to disappear from the stage of nations, stage of history.
So if you walk on Schenken Street, which is a very secular place in Tel Aviv, you're now the Chief Rabbi of Tel Aviv, is that correct?
Right.
And or if you go to Mea She'arim, is there a difference in these two populations, or are united under one umbrella called Israel and it encompasses everybody? Is that the same theory you have about children, trying to bring the children closer to the Torah?
Right.
Because you were the Chief Rabbi and very well accepted, by the way, in the whole community.
Thank you, but that's true, exactly as you say, Leon. Mea She'arim in Yerushalayim and the Schenken Street in Tel Aviv, they are brothers. Those of Schenken also in Yom Kippur, most of them fast. In the night of Seder, Pesach, all of them sit at the Seder, in the army and in the civilian life. Look, when you are a conductor of an orchestra, a symphonic orchestra, take Carnegie Hall, take the Mann Auditorium in Tel Aviv. You find in the orchestra all kinds of players.
Right.
The one who is all the time playing, and there is one with a clarinet. You hear his voice very weak, twice in the whole concert. He is not the violin, he is not the piano, he is not the cello. Sometimes he gives you only a bell, but he is a part of the orchestra. They all, even everyone plays in a different instrument, but if they play the same partitura, the same notes, it's harmony, it's music, it's beautiful. If the one who keeps only one of the 613 commandments, giving honor to his father and mother, defending his homeland, sacrificing his life for me, I praise him. I love him. I owe him my life. He is my brother. What is he doing? He is desecrating the Sabbath. He is mixing meat and milk. I feel sorrow for him, and sometimes I blame myself. I didn't reach him to tell him, you are wrong. Behave like your father. Follow the footsteps of your grandparents. So I am to be blamed. But he is my brother, in spite of all these differences, especially an Israeli who is defending me, us. And besides all the other mitzvot, commandments that he is keeping. So Schenken on one hand, Mea She'arim on the other hand, I find common language with all of them.
So you're a welcoming person, and that's why you've been very successful. And
I'm going to the schools, to the secular kibbutzim. I'm going to the army units. You can find me in the campuses of universities. I have in the Israeli television, channel number 1, 3 times a week. A short program means Yesh lecha musag, do you have an idea? 5 minutes, corner, monologue. I explain there all kinds of Jewish tradition. Hanukkah, Pesach, Elul, Shofar, to give back a loose, how to behave even with animals, everything you find in the Torah. I made already 80 corners in this program on the first channel, Israeli television. So I try to do what I can to reach all my brothers, to tell them, to show them, look, That's what we are. I'm not punishing. I'm not frightening.
Wonderful.
I'm not threatening. I just show the light, and I don't see the shadows.
You're a great man. We got to cut for a break. We'll come right back and talk to really one of the most interesting personalities in the state of Israel. A very warm and encompassing person for any Jew. Most of my crew here has probably never heard a rabbi like this speak before. They'll probably all convert right after this program. So we'll be right back to watch the conversion.
Now available from the Leon Charney Report. Right now, get the Leon Charney Report logo on t-shirts, wall clocks, sweatshirts, caps, visors, golf shirts, bags, and of course, our famous Leon Charney Report coffee mug. The t-shirt is organic cotton. The golf shirt is perfect for the coarse or even casual office wear. The women's t-shirt is incredibly comfortable. The sweatshirt is heavyweight cotton polyester. The tote bag is made of durable canvas, and the caps and visors are great for year-round wear. Plus, you can decorate your home or office with the Charney Report wall clock. And let's not forget the Leon Charney Report coffee mug. Enjoy your favorite beverage from the same kind of mug Leon and his guests drink from. Prices range from $13.99 to $26.99. To order, go to www.charneyreport.com.
We're back. We're talking with Rabbi Yisrael Lau, by the way, who won the Israel Prize, which is the highest commendation you can get in the state of Israel for being a tremendous citizen. It's a great honor. It's something like the Congressional Medal of Honor for Peace. And Rabbi Lau received one, I believe, last year. You know, Rabbi, you're very embracing and loving to all your people, basically secular, not secular. Tell us a little bit, let's say, about the conservative movement in America, which is fairly strong. Heschel was a great scholar. Leibowitz was great scholars. What do you tell my audience, those people who are of the conservative movement? What do you say to them?
First of all, they are my brothers and sisters, all of them. And my approach to each of them is according like one family. We have one father and one mother. This is undoubtedly. I think that the way of their guidance, their leadership is wrong. It's by a mistake, because I do believe that the Torah, with each commandment, was given by heaven from the Almighty. Moshe Rabbeinu was the messenger, our teacher, our guide. Nobody of us is authorized to change something that not human beings have created. That's my opinion, that's my concept, and I am following the footsteps of Maimonides.
Yeah, but Rambam was a rationalist.
Rabbi Heschel was a philosopher, a great philosopher. He wasn't a man of halacha. Rabbi Sol Lieberman, who was in the conservative seminar, and Rabbi Louis Finkelstein, who was also a teacher in that seminar, they themselves were Orthodox, super Orthodox Jews. And they insisted on of each of the 613 commandments, they themselves. And they were teachers of the halacha. So, if you believe that a picture, a painting, which was painted by someone, another one is not authorized to change the colors there, if you believe the Torah is given in Sinai, you cannot change it because of circumstances, because of time, because of geography or because of any other reasons for your comfort, for your convenience.
But doesn't the Talmud have a lot of elasticity in it? That
All of them based on the halacha. All the Talmud scholars, they are interpreters of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is the codex of all the laws based on halacha. If Hillel, the greatest Tana, president of the Sanhedrin in time of the Second Temple, will make one rule in favor of the people called prosbul. I will not enter into details now. Take the book of Gittin in the Babylon Talmud, page 36, Lamed Vav. The Talmud will attack him. Hillel, who gave you the authority to make this rule? And he has to apologize. Abaye and Rava, two Talmudic scholars, are going to explain us how Hillel was authorized to do it, because it based on the sentences of the Torah and not to go out of the frame. In the frame of the Torah, you can interpret it, you can understand here, Hillel, Shammai, but all of them agree that Shabbat is Shabbat. Don't desecrate the Shabbat. All the philosophers, all the Tanaim and Amoraim, the scholars, agree that milk is milk and meat is meat, and they are not being to be mixed. And you are not allowed to eat this and that but kosher, and mikvah is mikvah, and Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur, and all the other, and tefillin daily is a commandment. There is no arguments about it. Ashkenazim, Sfaradim, Tanaim, Amoraim, all of them agree upon the mitzvot. Inside of every of the mitzvot can be a debate, but not against the law, against the mitzvah.
Maimonides was a great man, the Rambam, one of the greatest.
Sure.
Why did they burn his books? Why did they burn his books?
Who told you?
Who
told you? Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen. I never saw the Rambam.
I never heard about it.
Moses Mendelssohn was a great scholar.
Moses Mendelssohn was the first to create what, because of him, was created the reform in Germany. And the reform in Germany brought us a damage of assimilation. If you take the first reform community,
Geiger, wasn't that a fellow named Geiger?
Was in New Orleans. Let's speak about United States of America. New Orleans, which is unfortunately now in the headlines. There was a first temple there, a reform. The rabbi there was Daniel Philipson. I speak about facts, not about legends. When he installed the temple in New Orleans, you can find it in the book of Professor Ephraim Urbach, the president of the Academy in Israel. Late Professor Ephraim Urbach was a candidate for president of the state of Israel. He brings the speech of Rabbi Daniel Philipson in New Orleans. Forget about Jerusalem. Forget about the temple in Jerusalem. Forget about the high priest in the temple. New Orleans, this temple, and I am the high priest. From that community, 200 members, not even one is today recognized as a Jew, declared as a Jew. And there was no 1492 expel like in Spain, and not 1942 Wannsee Conference of Final Solution, God forbids. Neither of these reasons brought to the fact that not even one of the first Reform community in the United States is not Jewish anymore, because they are assimilated, intermarriages, and even the conversion, if there was such a conversion, was not deeply rooted in the Jewish way of life, and that's brought to a situation that none of Philipson's community, including his family, is Jewish. But from those who went in the Orthodox way in Europe and in the United States of America, and today in Australia and South Africa, wherever, the descendants, the children and the grandchildren are at least Jewish, declared as Jews. Rabbi Max Nussbaum, a Reform great leader in Beverly Hills, he was also the president of ZOA, the American Zionist Federation. He have converted a girl by the name Marilyn Monroe and gave her a name Miriam. He have converted a girl by the name Elizabeth Taylor and gave her the Jewish name Elisheva Rochel. Is there any Jewish continuity? Is there anything rooted? To marry Arthur Miller, I will be Jewish. To marry Mike Todd, lest their memory be blessed, I will be Jewish. This is not serious. This is with no fundaments and no roots. And this cannot keep for the survival of the eternal Jewish people. Only the Torah with its commandments, the Halakha with the Orthodox way, which keeps us and makes sure that we will survive.
So could there be a conservative synagogue in the state of Israel?
There are even reforms. Nobody will break any window in any of these temples or synagogues, whatever, come. But I hope that in time you will learn, you will understand that this is only the way, the gate to real way of Jewish concept of life.
How about
even in my city in Tel Aviv, there is one reform, and there are 544 Orthodox schools in Tel Aviv. Look, you think that Tel Aviv is a secular city, you speak about Schenken, but I can promise you, as the one who lives in Tel Aviv
really?
45 years, that there is one reform, and they give them all the space to be active and to do everything of activities. Against this one, the rumor is that who knows how many reformers? 544 Orthodox schools, big and large and small, Yemenites, Libyan, Moroccan, Ashkenazi, Bulgarian, all kinds. 544, not in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, shuls, which people go there not once upon a week, but twice upon a day. So this is the real life in the land of Israel. People don't know it.
Where were you born,
It's
Rabbi?
a good chance, your show, to describe the real Tel Aviv. They speak about a march of gays once upon a year. But that march of twice a day that Jews, thousands of them, go to the shuls daily, in the morning and the evening, nobody makes a TV program about those people who go to the shul. Only Leon Charney brings the Chief Rabbi of Tel Aviv to tell the truth about the city. Thank you.
We interviewed Rabbi Hartman from the Hartman Institute.
I don't know him.
He's an Orthodox Jew,
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
he's a disciple of Rabbi Soloveitchik, whom I'm sure you admired. And
I had the name, but I don't know.
you never met Rabbi
Never
Soloveitchik?
met.
Really? How about Rabbi Feinstein in New York?
Moshe,
Yeah.
I met him once. I was privileged when my brother, Naftali Lavi, who was the Consul General of Israel in New York, as you have mentioned. He took me once to the Lower East Side
Right.
to meet with the great genius, Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Lebracha, let his holy memory be blessed. I have met with all the greatest leaders of the American Jewry, the Rebbe of Lubavitch, many times, the Rebbe of Satmar in Monroe, not in Monroe, in Bell
Monsey,
Harbor.
really?
He was after a stroke on March 74, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, Rabbi Yosef Dov, J.B. Soloveitchik.
Yeah, I asked you about him.
I met him 3
Oh,
times,
you said you did.
including in his house in Boston, by his daughter, Rebbe Tversky, We talked about 3 hours. And once in Moriah Shul, when he used to give a lesson in Broadway, Tuesday in the evening, and once a lecture in Yeshiva University in YU. Before Purim was the yahrzeit of his Rebbetzin, Dr. Tony,
Right.
Zichra Livracha, 3 times. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky I have met, Rabbi Avrom Pam I have met, the Rebbe of Bobov, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the Rebbe of Blujev, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. I met all the greatest.
All right. Tell my audience where you were born.
I was born in the city of Piotrków Trybunalski in Poland, which used to be the capital city of Poland in the time of the monarchy before Warsaw. Trybunalski, the tribunal was sitting there. My late father was the last chief rabbi of Piotrków. He perished in Treblinka in Holocaust in age of 50. My mother was born in Krakow. She perished in the death camp Ravensbrück in Germany in age of 44. Between Naftali Lavie and me was a brother in age of bar mitzvah, 13 years old, Shmuel Yitzchak, perished with father in Treblinka in age of 13. We were in the ghetto of Piotrków. Naftali was in Auschwitz. I wasn't in Auschwitz, only in the ghetto of Piotrków, then in a labor camp in Częstochowa, Poland. After losing father and mother, the two of us, Naftali was about 18, I was 7 years old. We were taken to Germany, to the concentration camp Buchenwald, which was liberated by the American forces, led by General Patton, on April 11, 45. April 11, 83, 38 years later, on the same day, in the capital center of Maryland, President Reagan brought all the survivors, Jewish survivors from Holocaust, from all the United States of America to the capital center. I was brought as Chief Rabbi of Netanya at that time, 83, to Maryland, to near Washington, D.C., and Rabbi Herschel Schechter from the Bronx was the president of President's Conference and a chaplain in the American Army.
Right.
In that battalion of General Patton. He met me in Buchenwald in the day of liberation. We both have met on the stage of the Capitol Center in Maryland, survivors. He asked me that time, "How old are you, my child?" And I said, "I am older than you, less than 8 years old." He said to me, he thought I am driving crazy. Said, "Why do you think that you are older?" I said, "Because you smile and you cry like a child." And I stopped laughing and I don't cry even more for years. So tell me who is older.
I knew Herschel Schechter.
In that moment, he told this story. 23,000 people were there and 400 TV channels. President Reagan approached to me on the stage. Elie Wiesel was there. Gideon Hausner was there.
The prosecutor of Eichmann.
Dov Shilansky was there as a
Speaker.
representative of Menachem Begin. And a young diplomat in the Israeli embassy, Bibi Binyamin Netanyahu, was there on the stage. And President Reagan and Mrs. Nancy Reagan approached to me saying, "Let me touch a living legend."
Really, very nice.
This was the day of our liberation, and the United States of America has a big part in the fact that I'm here.
It's a great story. You also met the Pope, didn't you?
I met the Pope.
How did
4
that feel
times.
for you, a Polish Pope? You came out of
We
Poland.
didn't speak Polish, we speak English. I met him for the first time, 40 minutes talk, and my brother Naftali was with us in Castel Gandolfo, his summer home, 45 minutes away from the Vatican in Italy. It was on September 1993. It was a beautiful meeting, an unforgettable one. In my book, the new autobiographic book, I dedicate a whole chapter.
Really?
Meeting in Castel Gandolfo. He knew my grandfather, who was a rabbi in the city of Krakow. When I entered to the Pope, I asked him a question. There is a story about a young couple, Jewish couple, in Krakow, David and Helen Hiller. When the Gestapo came in to take them to the death camp, or Auschwitz or Plaszow, near Krakow, they had a baby of 2 years old, Shachna. They left the baby in the arms of their neighbors, a Catholic Polish family, Jachowicz. 3 years passed, World War II ended, the couple Heller never came back. That child, Shachna, was brought up as a Christian. He knew in age of 4 by heart all the prayers and the psalms from the church of Sunday. The child was 5 years old, 1945. Mrs. Jachowicz went to the bishop of Krakow asking him to baptize that child to Christianity. The bishop asked Pana Jachowica, can you imagine what would be the reaction of his biological parents to this step? She said, I don't have to imagine. I will never forget the last words of my friend Helen Hiller, stood at the door saying to me, Pana Jachowica, in case that we will not come back, take care that the small Shachna, the little Shachna, will be brought up in Jewish arms. In this case, said the bishop, I will not baptize the child. The name of this bishop was Karol Wojtyla, and that's you, John Paul II. Tell me, is this story true? This was the beginning of our talk of 40 minutes. He was very excited to hear the story from me.
It's a great story.
This story appears in the book of Sir Martin Gilbert, name of the book, Holocaust, the Jewish Tragedy. He looked at the ceiling and said, smiling, Shachna Hiller is today an observant Jew in Brooklyn, New York.
Really?
38 years, from 45 to 93.
He told you that?
He followed the steps of that baby.
What a great story.
When I told this story in the home of Rabbi Raphael Grossman in Memphis, Tennessee, a young man stood up and said, I learned in Washington, D.C. in the university with the son of Shachna Heller, and I tell you that he moved from Brooklyn to New Jersey. You have the story.
Unbelievable. Wow. So he was a great man, this Pope.
He was a friend to the Jewish people. He saw our sufferings.
Did you go to his funeral?
He was a witness to Holocaust. The Pope said to me, I remember your grandfather, Rabino Frankel Teomim, walking to the synagogue on Shabbat, Saturdays, surrounded with very many children. How many grandchildren did he have? I didn't know. My brother said 47 grandchildren.
Really?
The Pope asked how many survived Holocaust. That I knew, only 5. 2 in the United States, 3 in Israel. Then he looked at the ceiling again and said, I always say that we, all mankind, are obliged and committed to the future of our senior brother, the Jewish people.
You can find that in the book, I'm sure, right? You wrote about this?
In
the book. Let's go to an easy subject. How do you define Zionism?
Zionism is someone who lives in Israel.
You know who said that? I'm going to tell you a
not
story.
Not like Ben-Gurion said. Ben-Gurion said that the members of the Zionist movements are, one Jew is financing, is collecting money by a second Jew to send the third Jew to the land of Israel.
I'll tell you a story. Ezer Weitzman, the late president of Israel, who was a very close friend of mine, was appearing allegedly in Atlanta, Georgia, before a Zionist convention. and he refused to go downstairs and meet with them unless they changed their name to pro-Zionist, because he said a Zionist is a person who lives in Israel. Your definition. It's not in your book, it's in my book. Same definition. Amazing.
Thank you.
The disengagement, which is modern history now, there was a lot of talk about rabbinical interference, about settlers defying the government of Israel, etc. You know the scene as well as anybody in the world. What was your position there?
It's an issue for itself. I invite myself to your show for another interview. I can tell one thing, that 6 weeks ago, on the 10th day of Tammuz, exactly 4 weeks before the disengagement became real, I have met with Prime Minister Sharon in his office. It was under 8 eyes. The talk was only between him and me, but the Secretary of the Government, Yisrael Meir Lau, and the Director General of the Office of Prime Minister, Ilan Cohen, were presented at this meeting. 40 minutes talk. I wanted him to explain me, if it's possible, the reasons for the disengagement, with no partner from the other side. No kind of, because I want your viewers and listeners to know that this is not the first time we give back the territory of Sinai or a part of Gaza Strip, the 4th time already. We left it in 1949 after our victory in the independence war, because there were talks of ceasefire in Cyprus and in Rhodes. This time, no ceasefire yet. We left on 57.
You know, was there in 49? Yitzhak Rabin.
This was 49. Now, and still Ben Gurion Prime Minister and Defense Minister. Not 57, again, Ben Gurion and Moshe Dayan, the Chief of Staff. We gave back all Sinai, which is 2.5 times as big as the whole state of Israel. Why? Because President Eisenhower and the President of the Soviet Union, Marshal Bulganin, signed a promise that all the seas and all the canals, everything will be open for all the nations. We gave back Sinai. 10 years later, Abdel Nasser, the ruler of Egypt, closed the gates of Tehran, and we couldn't breathe. We opened the 6-day war. After Yom Kippur War, after the visit of President Sadat, we gave back all this city, and we destroyed the city of Yamit. Why? Because the Camp David talks of Begin, Sadat, and Jimmy Carter. This time is the 4th time, but the first time, no documents, no peace talks or ceasefire talks, no Camp David yet. So we are a little bit confused, and this brought some split in the society, but I am a believer. We are an eternal nation. I hope, together with Prime Minister Sharon and together with the opposition to Prime Minister Sharon, that we will overcome all our obstacles, and finally, sooner as possible, we will reach the point of the desirable peace in the Middle East and in the globe. I hope to Messiah to come sooner in our very days.
Is there a struggle with, there were some rabbis who said that there would be a miracle and there would be no movement from Gush Katif. Do those people who were promised that miracle, do they have a problem religiously now?
I am afraid that they are, but I don't know even one rabbi who promised it. I know that the media announced that there were rabbis who announced it. I don't know even one rabbi who said it. The only name which was relevant to this story, the name of the former Chief Rabbi, Harav Mordechai Eliyahu, who says that the disengagement will never happen, this was taking away half of his sentence. He said, I hope that disengagement will never happen. If it will happen, we have to pray deeper and stronger that any damage will not come out of that disengagement. That's what he says now, and that's what he said before. If there are young people who have heard such promises, I pray for them.
Let's go back to one more topic, being that we have you for an hour. We do a profile. The Chief Rabbi of Israel, is he the final moral and religious authority of the country? In other words, if you say that this is the way it should happen, can there be other rabbis, satellite rabbis, who can defy that, or are you the chief? You have one Sephardic and one Ashkenazi rabbi.
In Tel Aviv, I am the only one, for the Ashkenazi and the Sephardic
really?
community as well. In Tel Aviv, we are united for
But you were
first Ashkenazi rabbi of Tel Aviv, who is the only rabbi for all the tribes in the city. The first time, Tel Aviv is 96 years old, for the first time that there is now one Ashkenazi chief rabbi.
So basically, if there's a question of halacha and you say that this is the way it goes, they're obliged to abide by your ruling?
A very good question. The answer is no. No, because Judaism is not like the church.
Right.
It's not Catholicism.
Right.
In the church there is a pope. Fidel Castro once applied to me on February 94, you are the Jewish pope. I am not. There is no Jewish pope. Never was a Jewish pope, not even Moses. Acharei rabim lehatot. We are democratic. We have to follow the majority. If there is among rabbis a debate, the majority, they will decide. That's why in the rabbinic courts, 1,400 years, rabbinic courts are only numbers like 3 members in the court, 5, 7, 9, 23, the Jewish history, and 71. All the numbers must be in a way that there will always be a majority and minority. Never one who will put his influence on all of the others. You must obey. You have to hear, you have to listen, you have to discuss over, and we have to decide together.
Jews are people of the book. We're running out of time. It's been a pleasure to have Rabbi Lau with us. I hope they translate his book into English, because it's obviously compelling reading. And I think everyone who listens to this show today will become a little bit more educated in Judaism, and even in Catholicism. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Now available from the Leon Charney Report. Right now, get the Leon Charney Report logo on t-shirts, wall clocks, sweatshirts, caps, visors, golf shirts, bags, and of course, our famous Leon Charney Report coffee mug. The t-shirt is organic cotton. The golf shirt is perfect for the coarse or even casual office wear. The women's t-shirt is incredibly comfortable. The sweatshirt is heavyweight cotton polyester. The tote bag is made of durable canvas, and the caps and visors are great for year-round wear. Plus, you can decorate your home or office with the Charney Report wall clock. And let's not forget the Leon Charney Report coffee mug. Enjoy your favorite beverage from the same kind of mug Leon and his guests drink from. Prices range from $13.99 to $26.99. To order, go to www.charneyreport.com.